Hi, this is Steve Williams with Track. Today I'm here with Kim O'Neill, General Manager of Prototron Circuits in Tucson. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, Steve. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm glad to be with you. One of the things we wanted to talk about is some of the improvements Prototron's made in performance, and specifically to a couple of merit badges you guys have added here recently. One is the 31032 for military, and the other is AS 9100 Rev D.
That's correct.
So you did 31032 first, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And what did you get out of that process?
Well, Prototron had been a 55-110 shop forever, really. And then when DLA came up and said, in order to keep that certification, you're now going to have to get to 31032. So it took our ISO QMS to a whole different level. We had 3 military guys out here for 3 days. And like I had mentioned before, you think you're good, and then you find out you're not so good. And there's lots of improvements that can be made. So we were at that particular time where AS 9100 was going from C to D. So we just made the decision that it would be good to do the 31032 first and then carry that over into the AS 9100. We had several opportunities to improve the quality management system from 31032. The performance that we've had has been very good, but it had our lab do some different things, like doing all the reporting instead of going out for Group Bs all the time. And it put much more responsibility on us to run the business in that manner. So we did have quality objectives back then, not as many as we now have with AS 9100, but it really steered us in the right way to prepare ourselves for AS 9100.
Everybody I talk to that's gone through that 31032 tells me that first audit is brutal, and it really is an eye-opener where you really think you're good until they come out and show you how you're not so good.
That's right, exactly true. And I tell my guys and the team, when we look at an audit coming in, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You're gonna get written up and all that kind of stuff, but they're there to make you better. And if you really buy into that, you welcome those folks in. It's another set of eyes. Tell me how I can get better, and they do. And guess what? You get better.
They do.
Yeah.
We talked, AS 9100 is a quality system, and there's performance aspects to it, but the 31032, they really dig into, are you making printed circuit boards right? And,
Yes.
and are the printed circuit boards going to be reliable and look at drilling down into all of your processes and all of your records and all of your methods and how you do things, where AS doesn't do that. So it's kind of two different things, but they work together.
Yes, they do. The auditors for 31032 spent lots of time, both up in the front end, inside sales. How are you doing this? This is what needs to happen. To out on the floor. They spent a complete 2 days out on the floor talking with operators, auditing the processes. And there was lots of opportunities that not only to conform with, but observations that would make things better for us. AS 9100, you're exactly right. It's more about the quality management system, not so much the processes out on the floor. Although they do come in, and we've had 2 surveillance audits since we were certified. And we have people come in. Obviously, the management comes in and talks to them about what their philosophy is in leadership and how the AS 9100 dovetail into that. But they don't really spend a whole lot of time looking at records out in the lab and things like that. They do look for, objective evidence, but it's not anything like 31032, the way the audit is constructed.
The other, I guess, collateral benefit is you're dealing with a different class of customer in those two markets that push you a little harder than maybe you got pushed before.
Exactly. We are dealing with customers that we have not dealt with before. The genesis of AS 9100 was from our sales team. They we discovered that we're probably about 70-75% aerospace and defense. Not so much it got a military spec, but our customers are really that way. And they started coming back and giving us a heads up that the company is not just going to accept the FA report anymore. You are going to have to be certified in AS9100. So there are the tier 1 customers that we weren't dealing with before. We still deal with the local customers here, and quick turns and things like that are still within our genre, but the customer list is definitely changed, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Very good thing.
So talk a little bit about, you've implemented a technical review board and how you're using that to actually drive the business.
Okay. When we started out with our first ISO, we had the TRB, the Technical Review Board. We took that from 31032, and we did a management review. And it touched on a few things. At that time, I think we had probably 3, maybe 4 quality objectives. And then AS came in and put a whole nother level of matrices and quality objectives. Now we have 12 quality objectives, and they start not only out in the processes, but inside and inside sales. We have measurements that, like you've seen today, that each one of the areas have their own matrices. It's just not on time. It's just not, quality, which is part of those. But, we're measuring how long stuff takes once you've got the PO to hit the floor.
Sure.
It's very important in the quick turn shop that you're not taking much time up there. So the technical review board is how we run the business. It measures resources, capital, every type of thing that runs the business. And within our quality mission statement, our quality policy, one of the items is continuous improvement of the quality management system. And we look at that and saying, well, if we're running the business according to the technical review board, we're actually continually improving the business. And that's bought in by everybody. And we just had our 136th meeting, monthly meeting this morning. And it's a well-oiled piece of machinery that really does work well for us.
I see a lot of companies, and one of the mistakes most companies make, at least in the beginning, is they've got a management review process where they review metrics and performance and the QMS. Then they have another meeting that's the business meeting, right? And those two sometimes don't exist together very well. And you guys have done the smart thing, and this is our meeting, and this is the metrics that's critical to the business. This is what we want to keep our finger on every month. Exactly.
And it's really improved most of those metrics. And it just gives us and Dave Ryder, the owner, president, a good view of where we're at on a monthly basis. He's here in the month and he participates in that, although he's not a member of the TRB and not a member of the group that handles 31032, because obviously the owner can have a lot of influence. He lets us be independent and run the business how we see it, and he measures that and sees that every month, has questions, and we have answers.
What's interesting is, if you look back, you said this is meeting 136, which I happened to sit on this morning, and you look back to when you first started this, the presentations were a lot shorter, there was a lot less content, but now you've got way more that you're looking at, but the meeting's actually shorter.
It is. It really is. And that's a byproduct, I think, of, going out and taking care of systemic problems. We've had this saying, and I know I've had this, through my career. Once you start measuring something, it automatically gets better. And we've done some good things with front-end conflicts where there's a difference between the print and what we have on our photo plot sheet or whatever. we've just reduced those because we started measuring those type of things and working with the folks through teamwork, having the inside sales group come in, sit with our operations group and work together to solve that. And having the business meeting and the technical review board meeting as one is really working well for us.
Yeah, it sure looked that way this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, one of the things you guys have added here in the last couple of years that's really paid dividends is you're like you said, taking it not just in manufacturing but up to the office
Mhm.
functions, and you're measuring what you call issues or incidents, right? And
Mhm.
that could be something that comes out of engineering incorrectly, or something that comes late out of sales, or the wrong rev or something, and that's driven not only improvement in those areas, but obviously in manufacturing because they're not seeing those issues anymore.
Absolutely. It's not a good thing when you get the final and find out the rev on the print is not what you're working there. And those type of things have really dropped. They get into shipping, there's no questions, and you're off to the races with getting good product out to your customers.
Great. Well, Kim, thanks for taking some time this morning with me.
It's my pleasure.
Been a pleasure. I love coming out here. You guys really have your act together, and it's nice to see a board shop that really gets it
Thank you.
and are working it every day.
Appreciate the feedback, Steve.
Absolutely. So once again, Steve Williams with Track here with Kim O'Neill of Prototron Tucson, and any AS 9100 and military customers, get a hold of Kim because they can build your product. Thanks for watching.